Hello, so I'm going to kick off this demo of 7pace Timetracker, where the developer's day typically begins, right here within the Azure DevOps boards. So we basically Timetracker is completely integrated into an engineer's life, and we like to say that it's sort of built in but out of the way. So we make it as easy as possible for your team to track their time right within the environment in which they work. So one of the places that you'll find Time Tracker integrated right within Azure DevOps is within the boards of DevOps itself. So you can, if you click on the context menu here of any work item, you'll see that when you have Time Tracker enabled or installed, we've added this extra menu item selection here. So you can either start tracking directly on that work item in real time by clicking the Start Tracking option, or you can click on the Add Time option, and the Add Time dialog will display, allowing you to enter your time that way. Or, as I mentioned, you can start tracking directly on that work item itself. Now, within Time Tracker settings, you can configure it to ask for some additional detail here when you start tracking. Otherwise, this pop-up box won't display if you don't configure it to ask for additional details. But for our purposes here, I have it configured that it asks for a comment and asks for an activity type to be added before the team starts tracking time. So I'm just going to put test under comment, and my default selection is documentation. As you can see, you can configure as many activity types as you'd like within Time Tracker's settings page in the activity types section. So I'm going to select meeting for this, and I'm going to start tracking. So now I am tracking on this particular work item itself. If you have the Windows or Mac app downloaded and paired with your Time Tracker instance, you'll notice that now this has started tracking as well. Everything is completely integrated. This is not mandatory, it's completely optional, but a lot of people really love the Windows or Mac app. It's just sort of a stopwatch type interface, and as I said, it's integrated with the web version of Time Tracker as well. Now, if you go to any page within 7pace Time Tracker, if I were to go to the monthly page, for example, you can see on every page within Time Tracker web, you will also see that we have a web app at the top of every page. So when I started tracking within that work item itself, the web app, similar to the Windows app that I have installed and downloaded, is also tracking. So if I were to stop tracking here, tracking would cease on those other forms as well. So I'm just going to go back to the boards here, so you can see. So if you were to open, for example, I'm going to go back to the backlog. If I were to open this specific work item, which is a user story, you can see here that when you open any work item within Time Tracker, we have the Start or Stop Tracking button and the Add Time button here as well. We also have a 7pace Time Tracker tab that is added when you have Time Tracker installed. So if you click on that 7pace Time Tracker tab, you will see we have the total time that's tracked on this work item, the pace. That is, the pace can be configured as well right within Time Tracker under Settings, Work Item Automation. So you can see the pace, you can see the work item time, the hours that have been tracked to it, the pace, the team members who have tracked time on that work item, as well as your activity types. You can also assign budgets directly from the work item itself. So once you've gone to the budget page of Timetracker and you've created whatever budgets you need, you can then go directly to the work item itself and assign this particular work item to a budget. And then any time that is tracked to this work item will go to that chosen budget. Okay. So now I'm going to just take you through a quick overview of the different pages within 7pace Timetracker. We'll start in order on the monthly page. So obviously this shows a monthly view of your tracked time. You can scroll from month to month or just click back to your current month pretty easily. You can add time by clicking on the plus button within any calendar square. And then your add time dialog box will display. You can just fill out your fields and click save. Any time that you've tracked on the fly will also display within each day on the monthly page calendar. So if I were to click on this specific day, I can see all the work logs that I've tracked within that day. And a work log is created anytime you start tracking and you stop tracking. So if you're tracking with the web client or the Windows or Mac app and you stop tracking, you start tracking and then you click stop, that's one work log. If you click on the add time button and add time, let's say for an hour here, and click save, that's one work log as well. So you can see all this in the details panel. You can click edit and make any changes to a work log, or you can even delete work logs by clicking on the garbage can icon. And from the monthly page, you can also submit time to your approval manager. So at the end of every week, you'll see that there's a submit for approval icon, and when you click on that, you'll see this time approval dialog box display. And within settings, approval, you can add approval managers. So approval managers do not have to be administrators. They can be any kind of user role within Timetracker. You just have to go to that approval page within settings and add your approval managers. And then their name will display in this list for your team members. And they can just do a search for their approval manager directly within this text field here. If you're a regular approval manager, you will just see the time that's been submitted to you from your team members. We have a little is global checkbox within settings that allows you to grant global approval manager permissions to the team members of your choice. And that means that when they go to the approval page of Timetracker, they will see all the timesheets that have been submitted by your team, not just to them specifically. So it's really great if somebody's on vacation or is taking a sick day, then those global approval managers can see all the timesheets that have been approved by your team. Okay. Now we'll just move on to the timesheet page. So the timesheet page shows a weekly view of your track time, and what it does is it analyzes your sprint board, and it displays. You'll notice here you'll see some different blue cells. We have light blue cells and dark blue cells. So when you see the bold blue cells, that shows when the corresponding work item during that week was in progress and assigned to you, the logged in user. The light blue cells or rows are highlighted with light blue that indicates there are items without work logs during this week. And they are displayed because the show items from the previous week option is enabled right here. So if you've tracked time, for example, on this item right here in a previous week, and then you click show items from either the previous week previous 2 weeks, or previous 4 weeks, and there hasn't been time tracked on it this week, then that light blue color will display. Again, you can filter by current project. You can view by this week's iterations, turn it on or off, and you can also filter by my items only. Again, within this timesheet, it shows a really good overview of your time tracked. You can also, it's just like a spreadsheet. It's completely keyboard optimized, so you can sort of zip around as you like. You can also add time directly to these work items if you need to within the sheet. And those blue cells, the darker ones that I mentioned, it just really makes it easy for you if you haven't been tracking time on the fly, which we of course recommend because it's more accurate. But if you haven't been and you need, it's the end of the week and you need to sort of remember what you've been tracking on or working on, this is a great way to do it. You can also submit your time for approval from here as well as the monthly page. So if you click submit for approval, I'm going to submit the time to myself just so I can show you on the approval page what that looks like. Because I've done this in the past, this is the default selection for me, so I'm going to send for approval. Okay, and then you'll notice here that that icon has switched to a little arrow and it says week is submitted for approval. It shows to whom and the time and the date that it was sent for approval. You can also revoke this before your approval manager gets to it if you need to make any changes to it. So now if you go to the approval page, you'll see there are 3 sections. There is the pending approval section, the unsubmitted section, and the archived section. So pending approval shows any timesheets that have been submitted to you for approval. So you can see here, awaiting my approval. I can click on the timesheet, and then I can just take a look at exactly what my team member timesheet looks like, what they've been working on. If I hover over these icons here, I can see the activity type. I can see any comments that my team member has made. If I need to have more real estate on the page, I just click on this little button here, this little arrow, and it gives me a little bit more real estate to check things out. Then I can click it again. And yeah, so I can just click the approval. If I approve this timesheet, then it will move to the archived section. Also, we have a unsubmitted section. So Timetracker automatically sends any team members' timesheets to this section at the end of the week if they've been tracking time but have not submitted the timesheet. So you can still see, who's been tracking time but has not submitted it here. You can still check it out. So you can either ask your team member, hey, close this, submit this to me, or you can close it out directly from here and that will go to the archived section. So in order to do that, in order to go to the archive section, you can lock weeks directly from there for further editing. But in order to do that, there can be no unsubmitted or pending timesheets in that week. So let's see here. Let me just try to see. It says this week cannot be locked. Please ensure that there are no pending or unsubmitted timesheets and try again. So you would just need to go and approve any pending timesheets for that week and then close out any unsubmitted ones in the unsubmitted section. Right. I'm going to just take a step back and go to the Times Explorer page. Okay. And the Times Explorer page comes with a few default reports or layouts right off the bat, but you can create your own, and that's really what the page is for. It's for creating your own sort of layouts that best work for you. So what you can do is click on the columns button, for example, and it shows all time tracker specific columns at the beginning. And then if you scroll down a bit further, you will see basically any kind of customized columns that you may have added to your own Azure DevOps project, and you can cherry pick which ones you want to display on the page, and then click Save. And then you can, basically move these around exactly how you want them to display on the page. You can filter them as you like, and then if you click on New Layout and you give it a name and save it, then that specific layout or report will always be available to you when you return to the Times Explorer page. You can export this to Excel and then perform any kind of data manipulation you need to on the Excel side. So it's a really great page for creating those kind of reports that you need. Again, you can filter by project, and you can also choose which iterations you want to display on the page. Another great feature of the Times Explorer page is the grouping feature. So anytime that you see this add group icon at the top right of each column header on the page, you can create groups of data exactly how you want it to be in the order that you selected. So let's say I want to create a group based on date, person, work item, title, activity type. Let's see, maybe state. That creates a nice little drop down of data in exactly that order. So when I drill down here, I can see exactly the groupings that I've created. And if I click New Layout, again, it will be saved for me when I return to the page in the future. Something else I wanted to point out about the Times Explorer page, anyone who has the team role within Timetracker user management will only be able to see their own records here or their own work logs on the Times Explorer page. However, if you are any other user role or permission level other than the team role, you will see the work logs of the entire team here on the Times Explorer page. So now I'm going to move on to the reporting page. And the reporting page, it comes with 5 default reports or dashboards. And these have been sort of predefined and put together by us with the input from our customers. We did a lot of testing prior to releasing this page and just finding out from our customers what exactly they were looking for. So we came up with these just sort of default reports that make it easy for you to get started with the reporting page to see what exactly you need, but they're still fully customizable. Okay, so you can edit and choose whatever filters you want for your dashboard. You can also, we have a widget gallery page here within our documentation. So just go to the 7pace website and you'll see we do have a documentation library, and within our reporting widget gallery, we've compiled a list of customized widgets from our various customers that we've made public so that other customers can take advantage of those. So you can see a great variety of widgets here: how to view time per project, how to view time per custom work item field, how to view individual shortfalls per day, total time tracked per iteration, just a great variety here, total story points per date range, how to view the pace of work items. That's all here, and if you just click on whatever one you want to go to, we've included the code here for you. So you would just highlight this and then copy it. Once you go back to the reporting page, you can click on Add Widget, and then in the Import Widget section, click Import Now, and then you can just paste the code in here, and then that widget will display within your report. So this is a great page for getting those really, attractive looking reports and widgets from the data that you and your team have been creating via your time tracking. And another thing, of course, you can export your data to Excel as well and perform further customizations on that end. Okay, now I'm going to quickly go over the iterations page of Time Tracker, which is kind of like a report in itself. We refer to this as sort of the health of a sprint page. And let me just pull these. And again, you can customize, you can just sort of drag and drop your column headers here to have more real estate on the page. So this page basically just shows what work items are currently being worked on and by whom within your team, what is progressing well in your sprint and what might require attention. It just really shines a light on sort of the accuracy of your estimations, the team's pace, as you can see here, on particular work items, or the sprint as a whole. So it shows all items that are assigned to a specific sprint. And you may notice that it's got kind of the similar look and feel to the backlogs page of Azure DevOps as well. Okay. You can see here the different column headers. It shows your title, your iteration path, shows who it was assigned to, your state, the original estimate, which is your effort, which is the number of story points or complexity points estimated for the work item, or basically how long it takes to perform one story point. The tracked column here shows the total track time for the specific work item, and then the tracked summary shows the total time tracked for the parent item and all its child items. And then you'll see our pace field here. It obviously shows the pace at which the task is performed. It's similar to velocity in Scrum, so we calculate it as the number of hours divided by estimated effort. And pace, basically, it raises a red flag. It sort of opens up communication within your team. So it's going to be different for every team. And if you have, over the course of time, you're seeing a number that resonates with you and your team for pace, and then that number you're seeing here is either going too far above or too far below, it just kind of opens communication within the team. Hey, let's maybe get together and see if there's any impediments here. And it's basically just provides a really good educational aspect between what was estimated at the beginning to what actually occurs over time. Okay, and from here you can also, it shows the current budget assigned to the work item. And budgets are usually assigned to iterations or whole releases. However, if you don't want to bill a customer for certain work items, you can simply exclude them from one budget and move them to another budget by clicking on this drop down here. Okay, and you can also, at the iteration level, here is the sort of field where you could assign the whole iteration to a specific budget that you've created. So that's a good segue now to our budgets page. So we like to refer to the budgets page sort of as the economical representation of the time spent. So you can create an unlimited number of budgets on this page just by clicking the new budget button. You can give the budget a name, add any planned hours or comments, and then click save. You'll notice that there is an included section here on the left and an excluded section on the right of the page. So you can assign basically whole iterations to a budget, or you can assign specific work items to a budget, or you can even get as granular as assigning specific work logs. If you want to assign specific work logs or tracks of time to a budget, you need to go to the Times Explorer page. I can show you that in a moment quickly. But let's say that you assign a whole iteration to a budget, and mostly that whole iteration you want to bill a customer for. So you can see here I've got this set up for company AAA budget billable, but let's say there are certain work items within that this iteration or sprint that you don't want to bill a customer for. So you can go into the excluded section and then under work items, click add, search for the work item title, and then assign it to another budget, for example, company AAA budget non-billable. So any time that if you assign either an iteration, work item, or work log to this budget, all time tracked by your team will now be assigned to this specific budget. And we have a great export feature here. It will export the entire data set to Excel, where again you can perform additional data manipulation from there. So it's very, very helpful in this way. I'll quickly show you now how to assign a work log to a budget. So I'm going to go back to the Times Explorer page. Okay, and here again I can see the work logs for the entire team. So let's just say I'm looking just for my own work log. So I'm just going to click Leah. And then what I can do is if I select, let's say these work logs I want to change to a different budget. So what I can do, you can see here when I highlighted those specific work logs or tracks of time, these additional column headers became available. So what I can do now is click Assign Budget, and I can assign those work logs to a specific budget. Or while I'm here, I can you can also mark these as billable or non-billable. You can also change the activity type of those work logs that you've selected, or you can also delete in bulk. Okay. So that just gives a quick overview of the application. And if you have any further questions, just let me know, and I'm happy to provide additional detail. And if you have anything that you'd like to dive into deeper, just let me know as well, and we can jump on a quick call and spend a little more time in that specific area. Thank you very much. And let me know how I can be of further assistance.